Let me tell you something. I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all! Yeah! Oh, yeah! Yeah!
So we have arrived at the factory that our map showed us. We can finally explore it and hopefully find good loot. We don't seem to be the only ones here, and they have damn good loot. I mean, the enemy in front of us has full marine armor. And another one. But together we will defeat the third one as well. Many rooms with explosives and fuel. Well, what did I expect? At a fuel factory? Okay, a room with 2 hunter traps. Let's avoid this room for now. There is even a room with biofuel refineries. Okay, but enough messing around and looking around. We need to go into the room with the 2 hunter traps. Oops, well, it was just white. He didn't have the right ideology anyway. Our first death, by the way. And he called his friends, the sightseers. Random people that show up always have some kind of problem. Quickly gather everyone. Okay, Kleeper didn't make it. But luckily, there were only 2. Next room and the next hunter trap. Can we just note how dangerous this is? The only defense mechanism used is explosives in a factory full of fuel and explosive chemicals. The planner of this defense should really lose his job. 1,000 hunter traps later, and we find even more refineries, as well as a crate of steel. Big room. And again, no problem. Even in these ruins next to the factory fuel was stored. With so much fuel, we'll be well supplied for now, with electricity and fuel for our flying. I haven't even used the newly gained space on our ship yet. With the harvested cloth, we can build both a poker table and a pool table. Therefore, the new space will be used for a recreation room. The chess table and horseshoe game will of course also be placed in the room. The small extra room will become our barracks. If we don't have any art to build a nice barrack, we can also build one that focuses on maximizing space. Plus, our craft station will become more effective, because the room will be no longer seen as a barrack. Fuel collected and refineries dismantled, for the components of course, we're already flying to our next destination. A short stop in a normal forest, even with 4 engines, we still can fly far enough to reach the next interesting place, but it also has its advantages. We can collect many more resources from different locations. which means components aren't such a big problem as in normal runs, where you always have to wait for traders or quickly research fabrication. By exploring many maps, you also have more opportunities to find valuable resources like gold, silver, jade. Normally you need an underground scanner and a drill for that, but this way it's much more relaxed. And before some people write in the comments that you could have done that with caravans, yes, but you need pack animals that you have to tame and feed. Also, the caravan system wasn't great before version 1.6. Once, too many were in the caravan and they simply never set off, because one had to eat or sleep. Okay, enough ranting. Caravans has improved with 1.6, and back to the video. Kumiko has a child named Pumpkin. Babies are like kids. Only different is they don't work. And if you're not careful, the baby can also be taken into battle because you forgot to put it down. Just because someone had to feed the baby or wanted to play with it, right at the moment of the attack. So I'm glad to still carry another burden with me. Another advantage of the stop is that we can calmly carry out our rituals. I had to call for it. Luckily, the Keef Pact is preparing. What it means is that we can shoot them for hours without them noticing. Not even a scratch. Another pawn wants to join us. And it's another child, who can do nothing, but hey, at least they have a cool hat. For our rituals, we can also further develop our ideology. Here and there, a few changes, and human supremacy. Nice, especially because of the role of the production specialist. Otherwise, not much more has happened, but it was just a stop. So, off to the new shores. We have arrived at a huge insect colony. Just on the surface there are like 20 nests, so it's time for some insect extermination. All other nests will be blocked off for now, so nothing stupid happens. Now it is time to go underground. It is similar structured to the meat caverns from Anomaly. Here too you have to shoot your way through walls, piece by piece, until you find the final boss. The only difference here is that there are insects instead of flesh monsters. There are even cocoons down here. We better not take any risks and destroy them instantly. Luckily, we retrieved an assault rifle with a flamethrower from the factory. Fire is a good weapon against insects. We rested during the night, however, Irvin stayed in the cave because he had a mental breakdown and was wandering around confused. Actually, no problem, he has jelly as food down there and slept on the ground. But I wasn't paying complete attention. One of the mega spiders was only injured and got back up. So quickly threw everyone out of bed at 3 AM to save Irvin's ass. However, Irvin fought back against the enemy who attacked him by killing the mega spider with one punch. So after the last danger was eliminated by Mr. One Punch Man over here, everyone could go back to sleep. It's also interesting that you find boxes down here with a constantly refilling energy cell, which will fit nicely on the ship to save us a lot of fuel. Even underground, mushrooms grow down here in the dark.
It's a trap!
Interesting, there are also ambushes down here. It's a shame that I have something up my sleeve too, and it's called Napalm Attack. You know, sometimes I really question the survival instincts of my pawns. Sure, it was a dry thunderstorm and lightning struck everywhere, but there's no reason to run headfirst into the fire. Lada. It is just annoying because the others always have to deal with it. Now I have to wake someone up from their deep sleep just to carry Lada to a bed and treat her. Meanwhile, the fire was so bad that it spread across the entire map and burned down some of our walls. That blocked the entrance for insects, which I didn't fully notice at the time. We finally found the queen, even in the last corner, and the entrance is only 1 block wide and several long, and it is defended by several grasshoppers. These new little flybees are quick and dangerous, and the queen has finally the poison are getting something new too. That takes down 2 points instantly.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And holy Speedy Gonzales, she is fast for her size. First, we need to get all the wounded to safety, except for the child. First of all, it's not bleeding, but just burnings from acid that prevents him from dying. Secondly, it's way too close to the queen. However, it must be said that Chuckles can only be saved when the queen is dead, and our squad is not in any condition to defeat her. Therefore, I attempted a risky plan. I used the incendiary bolt launcher to ignite the area around the queen, and thus her as well. It worked, but the first shot of the weapon hit the wall in front of her. At first, it wasn't a problem, but then the fire spread, until Chuckles was burning. Rescue wasn't an option either, as the queen didn't appreciate that we lit her on fire, and took down several of us. Again.
Nope.
Second retreat was in progress, but the queen came to give us the rest.
Hello, boys! I'm back!
However, the injuries from the fire had become too much, and she was down. We could have tamed her, which would certainly have some benefits, but I just wanted to see her dead. Meanwhile, Chuckles went from medium rare to burnt to a crisp. Our second death, and to be honest, it was just a child. who had only made it into the colony because I found the head funny. So no big losses. Besides tending to the injuries and needing to give the queen the rest, I also had to put out the fire, which had come quite close to our retreat area. In doing so, I made the next mistake, because there were still little insects that hadn't been quite burnt yet. Luckily, a lot of them were also quite severely injured from the fire. Der 20-minütige Krampf namens Micromanagement erspare ich euch, da das erste Mal das ziemlich langweilig ist und zweitens ich darin so ein Gott bin, dass nichts Großartiges passieren kann. Glaubt mir, ich habe schon deutlich schlimmere Sachen in RimWorld gemeistert. I spare you the next 20 minutes of agony called micromanagement, as it's both quite boring and I'm pretty good at it, so nothing could possibly go wrong anyway. Trust me, I've mastered much worse situations than that in RimWorld, just when everyone could finally sleep in their beds again above ground, a raid from the Cobra Mansion came. Of course, this was a problem, especially since half of my fighters were lying in bed with infections, but they came from the edges of the map. Since nearly all entrances to the map lead through caves inhabited by insects that we hadn't killed yet, the raid had to first fight their way through the union of a very hungry caterpie.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
It was fire again outside, and even more walls burned down. I'm slowly starting to wonder what I even built them for. I also have the honor of slaughtering the insect queen, even though we don't have a butcher's table down there. Revenge must take place, mark my word. And there is even good loot. A lot of food and jelly, which helps our food situation. But even with enough food in our cooler, Reggie decided to run into the nests of the insects, because he has gone crazy. So we all have to eliminate the nests. It will be fun, especially because of all the micromanaging I have to do. And when I look away for one moment, the next idiot goes crazy and I have to clear the next nests as well with my injured troops. Because there are no other place on the entire map, like our safe base or 50% of the map where all of the insects are dead, or just one freaking place that isn't the damn tunnel. The only problem is that it was already pretty late in the evening when I recorded this, which severely affected my ability to micromanage, and as you can see, I was a bit annoyed at this point. Ah! What adds insult to the injury is that half of my pawns get infected from these bats. To be honest, I have never had to do so much micromanaging in a row. And not because the new content is bad or something, but because so much happening at once. Fire burning my worlds away, infections, injuries, and sensor mechanites ensure that my pawns are ineffective as shit. And to make matters worse, someone goes crazy every 5 minutes, causing rest to have no peace, let alone recover from their injuries. It has spiral at like 1 AM, which my exhausted self had to resolve. Yes, I could have continued the next morning, but my grinder mindset would have let me no sleep the entire night. As a little relaxation, Lada had a baby named Long. And Jogan has already run into the next nest again. Out of aura, 11 combat-capable pawns. Only 4 are operational! The plan was to use the biomutate lands to make insects and flesh monsters kill each other. And it went as horrible as it could have. Yes, I hit the insect with it, however both parties simply completely ignored each other. And the flesh monsters ran towards us. Having killed this one, we try again and the exact same thing happened. Note that insects and flesh monsters do not attack each other, because they are both considered like wild animals. Really learned something new after over 700 hours of gameplay. But hey, Joe Quinn can at least crawl out of the cave, and he crawls deeper into the cave towards the next insect nest. After another 20 minutes of micromanagement, everything is okay again. And we can finally banish the last insects and nests from this map. Oh, and Long was completely alone outside during a dry thunderstorm. Sometimes I wonder how such things happen, but nothing happened anyway, so don't worry. A raid from the Dobit family. Now we unfortunately have no insects left to protect us from raiders. Kleep and Irwin were the first to the battlefield. I just overestimated their combat ability a bit. The problem was that they had sensor mechanized or something, which meant they were down in just 1 or 2 hits. This turned a fight they could easily survive or won in a massacre. Unfortunately, the reinforcements also took some time to arrive. Instead of continuing to fight us, the enemy just decided to book it and kidnap the two. Which they successfully did. Kidnapping isn't that bad, especially since there will be an opportunity to buy them back later, although the event has to happen first. Therefore, this initially means a loss of 2 points.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Kleeper represents a significant loss because he was one of the initial colonists and thus very important. Additionally, he had 2 romances running at the same time, meaning his 2 wives will now be in bad mood all the time and will go crazy because their husband was kidnapped. And then there was also an important statistic, guy 12, whose name I already had forgotten. Anyway, after gathering all the scattered resources, we began the rituals to fill our newly freed spots. Gray, an interesting guy with a talent for craftsmanship and plants. And he has an MP. Then Beef, finally someone capable of social interaction with acceptable social skills. Everyone else except me is at 0, 1, 2, or completely refusing. But while we were still holding our rituals, the next attack from the Cobra people happened. Fortunately, just at the moment of the attack, the visitors had left, which provided us with meteors.
Hello there.
Nope.
My leg! My leg!
For the rituals, and Bin joins us, a furry who can cook damn well, even though he is fragile and reclusive. Finally, captured TV was installed in our recreation room. We just need to build a few chairs and we can have a movie night. Where did we get it? I don't know either. Let's just say the traders lost him on the way when they got too close to the insect. Holy moly, a mech cluster! And that close to our ship? Luckily, they are offline. Our ship will now also be expanded with the new captured Gravecore. After our cave expedition, we had our hands full. And another cluster right next to the other one. And this time with a countdown. Okay, I don't want to say anything, but it's getting a bit too hot in here. It's time to take off and leave. Luckily, finally, out of this hell. But how things continue with our crew? You'll find out in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring that little bell. And until next time. Bye!